Welcome to Traveling Kangaroo. Welcome back, mates. Today I'm hopping straight into what you need to know about living in Buenos Aires in 2025 after 4 months on the ground. If you're dreaming of cheap eats, great coffee, and gorgeous neighborhoods, I'll tell you what's still affordable, what surprised me, and how to stretch your pesos without losing the Buenos Aires experience. Stay tuned. This one's packed with real tips, neighborhood secrets, and hard lessons I learned the Rue Jump way. Let's jump in. Quick preview. I'll cover accommodation, groceries and eating out, transport and phone plans, the all-important exchange rate situation, and the single best rule to save money without missing out. If you want neighborhood recommendations, I'll name the exact areas I lived in and why they mattered. Stick around. I'll also share a simple budgeting checklist you can screenshot. So, Buenos Aires isn't the bargain it used to be, but it's still a fantastic value, if you know where to hop. I found a great Airbnb for months that cost me less than a single weekend in Toronto. But I also learned that tourist traps and imported groceries can eat your budget fast. This video will save you time, money, and headaches. Accommodation, where to live and how to save. Palermo, Puerto Madero, Recoleta, and downtown are the shiny rue pouches of Buenos Aires walkable, full of cafes, bars, and nightlife. If you crave convenience and vibe, they're worth paying a little extra for. Here's an example from my stay. I paid about 1,150 Canadian dollars per month. That's roughly 825 US dollars for an Airbnb in Palermo. It was comfortable, had an elevator, and was walking distance to everything. Now, compare that to a 2-night Airbnb in Toronto that once cost me 650 Canadian dollars. So, month-long stays in Buenos Aires can be much cheaper than North America. Save money by hopping out of tourist neighborhoods. Move 1 or 2 neighborhoods over and you can easily save 200 to 300 Canadian dollars a month on rent. You'll trade some walkability for lower costs, but if you don't need to be in the thick of the action every day, it's a great compromise. Here's a tip. When searching Airbnbs, filter for monthly discounts and read reviews about noise and elevators. A comfortable place close to transit is worth the few extra pesos. Now, about food and groceries. How my grocery bill surprised me. I spent about 600 Canadian dollars a month. That's around 500 US dollars on groceries, which was higher than I expected. Why? Well, I shopped at a higher-end chain, Jumbo, and bought lots of imported products. Guilty as charged for the Red Bull habit. Jumbo is basically the Whole Foods equivalent. Super convenient, but honestly, pretty pricey. If you're looking to save a bit, shop at your local markets, neighborhood bodegas, and those awesome feria stalls. You know, the open-air markets where the produce is not only cheaper, but also way tastier. When it comes to eating out, I usually paid between 30 and 75 Canadian dollars at restaurants in Palermo, which, yeah, is pricier than a lot of other Latin American cities. For comparison, in places like Peru, you might only pay about 10 to 40 Canadian dollars for similar meals. So, how do you eat like a local and save some cash? Go for lunch specials or almuerzo del día. They're super common and much cheaper. Try neighborhood parrillas, those steakhouses that are away from the touristy areas, and definitely grab empanadas from your local bakery. If you really want to save a lot, cook with local produce and skip the imported snacks and drinks. Some quick saving moves: cut back on imported beverages, get into the local coffee culture instead of hitting up chains, and make it a habit to shop at the feria once a week. You'll be surprised at how fast your monthly food bill drops, seriously. Transport and phone plans. Don't let those little costs sneak up on you. Public transit here is cheap. Buses and subways are both affordable and actually really efficient for getting around the city. Short rides are especially easy on the wallet. As for rideshares, Uber is definitely cheaper than in North America, but it's not quite as cheap as in some other Latin American cities. So, expect middle-of-the-road prices and sometimes a bit of a wait since availability can be hit or miss. Oh, and just keep in mind that the legal status of ride-hailing can change, which affects how available and affordable it is. So for example, a 40-minute Uber ride cost me about 20 to 25 Canadian dollars, which is roughly 13 to 17 US dollars. That's way cheaper than in North America, but honestly, it's not exactly dirt cheap. Now, when it comes to phone plans, tourist SIM plans usually only give you limited data. And if you're planning to stay for a few months, those costs can really add up. I actually stuck with my North American plan at first, and let me tell you, it cost me an arm and a leg, just because the tourist sim options weren't practical for long-term use. If you're staying several months, I really recommend getting a local long-term plan. It might take a bit of paperwork and patience, but it'll save you money and stop you from stressing about running out of data. Ask your landlord, host, or any local friends for advice on the best providers for longer stays. The exchange rate jungle. It's a real thing, especially with official versus blue rates. Argentina often has more than one exchange rate. There's the official government rate, and then there's this parallel blue rate. These can shift really quickly, and honestly, they can make a huge difference in your buying power. Personally, I didn't use the blue market. Instead, I relied on Western Union and cash now and then, and I actually got better results than if I'd used my credit card at the official rate. One really important thing to know, during my stay, the government eased up on controls and the blue rate changed a lot. That kind of thing can literally change overnight, so what's true one week might not be the next. When you're planning your finances, it's super important to check both the official and unofficial rates, and always use legal, secure ways to convert and move your money. Western Union, certain bank transfers, and local ATMs can all work a bit differently, so it's smart to test small transfers before sending any big amounts. And just a quick safety note, avoid illegal exchange operations. I know it can seem tempting, but there's real risk involved. Stick to reputable exchange methods, even if the blue rate looks super attractive. Neighborhood strategy: how to balance cost and vibe. If you want the true Buenos Aires feel, cobbled streets, cafes, street art, and nightlife, Palermo or Recoleta is amazing. It's the roux with style. But if you want cheap rent and local life, look for neighborhoods outside the tourist core. You'll get local prices at restaurants and markets, and your monthly budget will look much healthier. My personal rule is, if I'm in Buenos Aires short-term like a few weeks, I pay more to be in a walkable area. For longer stays, I'd consider a quieter local neighborhood and just accept a short commute. Okay, here's a practical tip. Stay in a centrally located neighborhood for your first few days so you can explore easily. Then test out one or two quieter areas before you commit to a monthly rental. And now, let's talk about your budget checklist, what you should watch out for and what you should book ahead of time. For accommodation, look for monthly Airbnb discounts and compare those with local rental listings. When it comes to groceries, don't rely on Jumbo for everything. Honestly, use local markets for your produce and staples. It'll save you heaps. For eating out, set yourself a weekly restaurant budget and make the most of those lunch specials to save some cash. For transport, buy a rechargeable SUB card for buses and trains, and always compare rideshare versus taxi prices, especially for late nights. With your phone, research local prepaid versus long-term plans, and remember to bring the necessary ID for registration. For money, test small transfers first. Avoid those risky blue market deals, and consider using Western Union or bank transfers for better rates. So, here are my final lessons. Buenos Aires isn't really the once-in-a-lifetime insanely cheap secret that a lot of blogs promised, but it's still an excellent value if you approach it wisely. Spend like a kangaroo, hop smartly between experiences, pay for the neighborhoods and conveniences that matter most to you, but eat and shop like a local to keep your costs down. Honestly, your choice of neighborhood will define your experience more than almost anything else. It affects your food, transport, and social life. And just a heads up, exchange rates and rules can change, so stay informed right before you go and during your stay. Thanks for hopping along with Traveling Kangaroo. If you found this helpful, please subscribe to Traveling Kangaroo for more real, on-the-ground advice. Follow us on social media for daily updates, behind-the-scenes photos, and quick budget tips. And don't forget to visit our site at travelingkangaroo.com for detailed guides and downloadable checklists. Until next time, keep your pouch full and your itinerary flexible. See you on the next adventure with Traveling Kangaroo.